In creating users in Office 365, one of the areas that you actually need to maintain is their password policy. What policy are you going to apply to the users that have cloud-only accounts? Now, in order to do that, we can go right from the portal and actually make those choices. If I scroll in here and go down to Settings, in the Settings section, I'm going to go into Security and Privacy. And then in the Security and Privacy section, you'll see there we have our password policies. This is where I have the ability to decide what password policy will impact users with cloud-only accounts. I'm going to go ahead and you can see right now it's set to never and never. We just did that so that we would have the ability to change it. In reality, the default setting is going to be every 90 days and will notify you every 14. We'll go in and click on the Edit button here, and you can see it's set to never expire. It's a simple on-off switch. With it in the on position, every single cloud account will have a non-expiring password. The user will set their password and they'll never have to change it. Now, as best practices, most organizations aren't going to leave that set that way. We have the ability to simply click the on button and turn it off. Now that it's off, you'll notice I have two new options show up. The first one is how long can a user keep their password before we actually have to force them to reset it. In this case, it's set to 90 days. I'm going to put it in a very large number here just to show you what the range is. There you go. By doing that, you can now see that it actually has a range of 14 to 730 days, or from 2 weeks to 2 years. So you can actually allow a user to keep their password for a fairly lengthy time. But in our case, let's go ahead and just set that to 45 days. Now, when their password's going to expire, we're going to want to kind of give them a heads up. Hey, your password's going to expire soon. You might want to go in and change it, right? So that they don't get to the point where they have to change it, where until they change it, they're not going to be allowed to do anything. In this case, we can start warning them 14 days ahead of time is what the default is. But let me change that again to a very large number. And I do that just so that you can actually see what the range is. It needs to be from 1 to 30 days, right? So anywhere from 1 day to 30, we'll have the ability to start notifying them. And we'll leave that at 14. 14 is fine for me. So we'll start bugging you about 2 weeks out. Then we just click the Save button there. And now every user that has a cloud-based policy and a cloud-based password will now have to change that within 45 days. And we'll start notifying them 2 weeks ahead. If I wanted to, I could go out there and simply change that back so that everybody has a non-expiring password by clicking the on button and save. Now, you may want to do that if you're in an environment where you're synchronizing your on-premises users with passwords into the cloud, because in that instance, right, the password policy on premises is what's actually controlling the password for that user. But maybe you have 1 or 2 users that you created as cloud-only users for administration in case you have some sort of problem with your synchronization. Sometimes in that instance, we create very long and complex passwords for a user account that is going to be a cloud-only account.